Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. And welcome to another episode of Glass Half Full, a podcast and a safe platform where we talk with a variety of teachers, entrepreneurs, spiritualists, uplifters, givers, shakers, and serenaders. Everyone has a lesson to learn and a lesson to share. Let's use our life experiences to enrich someone's heart, mind, spirit, and soul. Through sharing our experiences, we can be a learning inspiration for one another. I'm your host, Chris Levens. Let's welcome today's guest. Today's guest is Blaine Oelkers. Blaine Oelkers is a TEDx speaker and leading authority in personal implementation and consistency. He is America's only Chief Results Officer. He is a habit master with documented streaks of 1,677 days in a row and counting. As a top LinkedIn connector, he has over 25,000 first-level connections. Blaine graduated from Purdue University and Stanford University's Social Entrepreneurship Program. He is powered by Self-Fluence, a personal development and training company. He is excited to share with you ways you can take control of your life by taking control of yourself. Let's welcome Blaine Oelkers.
Hey, Chris, thank you so much. Your voice is so silky smooth. I think I might just take that and use that as my introduction wherever I go. So that was fantastic. And I know that you're a voice person and you're professionally trained and all that, but it shows. And thank you for having me on.
Yes.
I'm excited just to kind of have a conversation with you, but along the way, drop some nuggets to help people out. So I'm excited.
Yes, thank you so much for taking some time out to be a guest here on Glass Half Full. We are so happy to have you today. Yes. And can you tell everyone where you are in the world and what time is it?
Yes. So I am in Phoenix, Arizona, and we are the one place in the United States that doesn't move the clocks, which is interesting. So right now it is 9 p.m. and I'm on Pacific time, but next week when the clocks change, I'll move to Mountain time. So it's quite a schedule craziness, but I enjoy it, and we've been here for about 28 years now.
Wow, nice. That sounds beautiful. I've passed through there some years ago on a tour. Yeah, it's beautiful country. Yeah, so let's just jump right on in. I like to ask all my guests this first question. I believe that our lives are in spiritual design. Can you share your life layout or blueprint with everyone? How you grew up,
Yeah.
where, your family lifestyle?
Yeah, sure. And I had some moments of dawning comprehension along the way where the light bulb goes off. But I am originally from New Jersey, and
Oh,
I grew
wow.
up in New Jersey, in the middle part of New Jersey, Morristown, New Jersey, and great parents, loving parents. Now, both my parents did work. So later in life, I realized that did influence me. Like I would come home to an empty house, and I have an older brother, and sometimes he was there, but sometimes he wasn't there. So that influenced me. But I had a good kind of normal upbringing in New Jersey. High school was okay. For me, college was where I really I think really started to blossom in life. And so I went to a very small high school. There was only 72 in my graduating class.
Wow.
And so when I went to college, I'm like, I want to go to a big college. Like I want to just be a number. So I went to Purdue University. There was 32,000 people there. It was fantastic. And I did have a moment of dawning comprehension there at Purdue is I've always been, and maybe some of the listeners can relate, I've always been a little bit of a seeker. So I wanted to, how can I do better? How can I be better? And so I saw this ad where you could send away for a free audio cassette. So now I'm dating myself, but I went to the college in the 80s. Some people might not even know what a little audio cassette is, but
Right?
anyways, a little tape that you put in a little, Sony Walkman player. And so I sent away for this tape, and it was an abridged version of this book called Think and Grow Rich, read by a guy named Earl Nightingale, who also had a very smooth voice like yourself. And so he read this book, and I got the tape and I listened to it, and then I got the book, and I read this book, Think and Grow Rich. Now, and I talked about money, but it was also the whatever the riches are in your life. Could be health, could be spirituality, could be good relationships. And so whatever you wanted to bring about in your life, you could, in a systematic way, kind of bring that thing about. So I made a little saying called YTABA. What you think about, you bring about. So that's a little acronym. What you think about, you bring about. So it's not just the law of attraction, which is what you think about, but also you bring it about. Like you have to take some action based on kind of what the universe maybe provides for you.
Mm.
So anyway, that was a big change for me. And I really took control of my thinking there in college. I met my wife. We've been married 30 years. So,
Oh,
so I had some,
congratulations.
yeah, thank you. So I had some good success there. And we met there, got married, started a family. And so my second moment of dawning comprehension that kind of shaped my life was I came home from a business trip. Now, my degree's in computer science, and I had a job where I was working in the technical field, and I was on a business trip, and I came home from the business trip, and my son was about 1 year old, and I came home and he was like giving me the cold shoulder. I'm like, Beth, what's going on? Why is Bo giving me the cold shoulder? And she said, well, you were gone so long that he kind of forgot who you were.
Ooh.
And I was like, whoa, that hit deep. And so, I realized, oh yeah, hey, I came home to an empty house, and I got flooded with emotions. And that night I made what I call a clarifying decision. And I said, okay, no matter what, I'm going to become a work from home dad. No matter how long it takes or how hard it is, I'm going to do it. So I started two different businesses because at that time I really couldn't find a job that would allow me to kind of work from home. Now, today, you can find a lot of jobs where you can work from home, but back then I couldn't. And so it took me a year. But a year later from that night, a little more, it was like 13 months from that exact time, I actually was able to leave that job. And that was 27 years ago. So for the last
Wow.
27 years, now the kids are grown, they're out of the nest. But for those last 27 years, I've been that work from home dad, and I could be there at the bus stop. I could coach the different teams. And I set up my businesses without any daily operations. So it gave me the time and the latitude to kind of do a little bit more spiritual work, a little more, why did God put me here? Why am I here? What do I like to do? What am I like designed for?
Mm.
And I realized that it was to help people take control of their lives by taking control of themselves. Something I call personal implementation, getting yourself to do the things that you know you should do, but you don't do. And so I started doing that. I started a company called Selfluence, and that's what I do today. And I started doing it for a lot of organizations like mastermind groups of business owners. And they said, hey, Blaine, you really helped me us get results. We're going to call you our chief results officer. And I'm
Mm.
like,
I
hey,
love that.
I like that. That sounds pretty cool. So I went, I noticed no one else was using that title. So I went to the US Patent and Trademark Office, and I applied for that, and I got the registered trademark. So I got the R with the circle. So now that's why you
That's
can say I'm
awesome.
America's only chief results officer, because I am protected there.
I love that.
And so anyway, that's led me to where I am today. And that's all I do today is help people, mostly business owners, but get results. And it's the power you already have to influence yourself. So you don't need anything extra. You don't have to buy any more stuff. The software in your brain is fine. Maybe you're not using it the best, but you don't need anything else. You already have the power to improve your productivity, to create new habits, to get rid of bad habits. You have it all there. You just have to kind of tap into it. So that's a little bit of the long story, but that's how I got to where I am today.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, no, that's great and quite an exciting story. It is, definitely. You touched a little bit about habits, so let's talk about that. Can you break down for us what is a habit? And there are good and bad habits, right? Um,
Yeah.
can you explain to us a little bit about habits and how can we create new habits in 21 seconds?
Oh, I like that. That's one of my favorite frameworks. And so habits are basically things that you can do or that you do without any willpower required, and typically they happen automatically, right? And so when I talk about self-fluence, I often say people are powered by self-fluence because in self-fluence, we realize that everything you need is within reach. You're already doing it, and you could master it, right? So everything you need within reach. You're already doing it, and you can master it. So when we talk about mastery of habits, you have to realize that you're already a habit master. Now, so sometimes people say, "Oh, I'm really bad at starting new habits, Blaine. I can't do it." And I said, "No, no. Let me give you a real life example story." And I talk to people and I say, "Well, have you brushed your teeth?" Like even like I'm in a big crowd, and almost every hand goes up. Occasionally, there's a denture in there or two, but all the hands go up. I say, have you brushed your teeth in the last day? In the last 24 hours? Everybody says yes, and I say, well, how many years have you had that habit of brushing your teeth? And people say, oh, my parents taught me when I was 3 years old or 5 years old. I've been doing it every day since. So the baseline there is, look, you're already a habit master. And so I tell the story of my wife. This is how we came up with the 21-second habit idea together. But my wife, luckily, this is past tense, but she used to have nearly daily migraine headaches. So kind of debilitating migraine headaches, very debilitating. And so the doctor said, look, we can't really figure this out. I want you to keep this headache log. And it was a very detailed headache log about the weather and the barometric pressure and what she ate and what triggered it and all kinds of stuff. And my wife, she could keep it for a couple of days, and then she couldn't make it a habit. And she would not do it for a couple of days. She'd lose the headache log, and then she'd have a migraine. Then I'd ask her about the log, and then she'd go crazy because she's there having a migraine. I was a fool for asking her any questions during the migraine. So I learned quickly on that.
I know that's
But one night I'm sitting there and I'm watching her, and she's brushing her teeth. And I realize, in that moment that my wife has this great habit. She's a twice a dayer, once in the morning, once at night. And she's dentist recommended 2-minute brusher. So what we did is the first key to the 21-second habit, there's 3 keys. The first one is habit linking. It's linking. So what we did is I said, look, here, honey, take the headache log, put it underneath the toothbrush and the toothpaste, put a pen there. And when you're brushing your teeth, fill out the log. So now she's getting 4 minutes, 2 minutes in the morning, 2 minutes of night, and there's no willpower required. It's right there. She's brushing her teeth anyway, and she could fill out the log then, and she'll never lose the log because she knows where it is. It's always in the bathroom, right there. And so with that, she went from couldn't do it 3 or 4 days to she did it 90 days in a row.
Wow.
She had this and she was so proud when she presented
sure
the doctor with her log. But anyway, that helped and adjusted the meds, and now she might have migraine once every couple of months. It's fantastic. So, but the first key here is what we call habit linking. So that's where you link the new habit you want to create to an existing habit that you're already a master at. Right. And so I had the same desire. I said, wait, this is great. This seems like this might work. And so I said, I want to create 2 new habits. One is I had this Bible app. So I wanted to kind of jump into the Bible in the morning, but then I also wanted to take a mind shower every day because I realized I would take a physical shower every day, typically in the morning after exercise, and I'd wash my body, but I wasn't like washing my mind. And I realized social media, news media, many of my friends, I was just getting a lot of negativity, into my brain on a daily basis. So I said, you know what, I want to take a mind shower. I want to, do that every single day. There's a bunch of different apps you can use for this. I use an app called Headspace, which is a meditation app. There's one called Calm, which is great. There's one called Insight Timer. There's over 100,000 meditations and different things inside that as well. So what I did though is I said, okay, I got to habit link this to something. And I said, well, Blaine, what do you do first thing in the morning? No willpower required. And you know what it is I pick up my smartphone, my iPhone. So in the morning, now sometimes the alarm's going off on the iPhone, but the first thing I do is I open up my iPhone And that's the first thing I do every single day. So that was the first part is the linking, right? So what I did is on my iPhone, I moved all the apps off the first page and I just put the two apps there, this Bible app and the Headspace app. And then I made this contract with myself. Basically, it said when I open up my phone for the first time in the day, I'm going to have to do those two apps before I'm allowed to do anything else on the phone. Now that unlocks the second key, which is something called urge surfing. So it's habit linking, but it's more powerful if you can surf an urge and use the energy of the urge to push you to make sure you do the new habit. So in my case, I have this urge to want to look at my phone. Like there's that little thing, little circle with the number of text messages I got throughout the night. My son lives in Denmark. My good friend lives in Tokyo, Chris Levens. And so I may get these messages in the middle of the night. I also want to know what orders came in, what's happening with my retirement accounts. There's all these things I want to check, and I have this big desire, what's happening in the news and all this stuff. And so I surf that urge and I have to do those other two things first. And so for me, that's that streak, which is documented in the app, which I really love. That's my streak. That's 1,600 days, 1,677 days ago, was when I started, using this habit linking with the urge surfing. So I say it's LUL. So linking, urge surfing. And the third part is leverage. And the leverage just means, you could have the pain, like a penalty. If you don't do the new habit, you can get accountability partner, or the leverage could also be a reward. Like say, hey, if I do this new habit for a week, I'm going to take this little reward. I'm going to take an afternoon off, or I'm going to go buy a new book or something like that. And giving yourself the leverage on yourself through, the carrot or the stick, the penalty or the reward. And then also psychologically, the leverage builds once you get 3 or 4 days in a row. You don't psychologically want to break that chain. And that chain becomes stronger day after day after day. But the biggest, quickest thing for people is to habit link it to something you're already doing. Like another habit I love is next day planning. Like never let a day end without planning the next one. And I had an attorney client of mine, Anne, and she's like, Blaine, I'm just not making a plan every day. And I said, okay, Anne, what do you do first thing in the morning? No willpower required. And she said, well, I have to admit, the first thing I do is I make a cup of coffee. And I said, that's perfect. I said, take a pad of paper and a pen, put it on top of the coffee maker. And then in the morning, if you don't have your plan made, now, if you did the night before, bonus, you don't have to do anything else. But if you don't have it done, you go to make the coffee, you're going to see the pad of paper and pen right there. I want you to brew the coffee, smell the coffee, get that urge going for the coffee, right? But you can't take the first sip until you start the plan. Now you can make the plan while you drink the coffee, but you have to start the plan. So she links it to this coffee ritual that happens every day, this coffee habit, and then she surfs the urge for the coffee to make it happen. So again, there's all these things you do, sometimes multiple times a day, like brushing your teeth or going to the bathroom. You could have it linked to that. There's things you only do once a day, like waking up, getting dressed, maybe driving to work. And there's all these points in your life that you could link to. Some things you only do weekly, maybe you want a new weekly habit, you could link it to that. There's some things that only occur once a month, you can link to that, or once a year. So this concept of linking, urge surfing, and leverage, that's how you can kind of create new habits in 21 seconds, instead of 21 days. Now, neurologically, the habit begins to form within the first 21 days, and it actually takes 63 days for the habit to be something that you would do kind of unconsciously, be able to do. Brain science has now shown it takes 63 days, but you can hack all that. 63 days, but you can hack all that by linking, to something you're already a habit master at.
Wow. All right, Blaine, that is awesome.
That's it. There's some value right there. We got new habits can be created all over the world now.
Yes, without feeling that it's something that, it's hard to obtain, because people do start habits, like you say, but they don't stick with it. They revert back to doing what they were doing before. So this is a great way to link it to something that you are already naturally doing. I never thought about it. And when you said it, I was like, I do that in a form of fashion for certain things without ever thinking about that I've linked it to something else. I have to put it in its way. So I have to do it before I get to what I'm going to, is my thing. So Wow, that is
Yeah, that's
great.
good.
I love it. I love it.
Well, and the other thing too is that a lot of people fail at the habit because it becomes too big.
Mm,
And then they miss it, they break their streak, and then they kind of get some bad brain chemicals going, and then they stop it, right? And
mhm.
so the other thing to know is that sometimes I would rather you win early, win often, and that you dial down the resistance or the size. I call it nanoizing your habits, but dial down the size of the habit to make sure you could keep the streak alive. So for like let me talk about this idea of the mind shower.
Mhm.
So I like a good like 10-minute mind shower. But if I'm on the run, I'll do a 3-minute mind shower. And if I don't have time for that, I'll do a 1 minute. But I could do that like while I'm getting dressed or I mean, I can do it for 1 minute for sure. Same thing with like people start an exercise habit and they're like, Blaine, I'm going to exercise 30 minutes every day. I'm like, that's fantastic. That's like perfect for your body. That's a great thing. And they'll do 2 or 3 days and then they stop and then they don't do it. Right. A week later, it's like, I only did it twice. I said, okay, I can't have you lose like that. That is not going to be good for you psychologically or for your brain chemistry. So I said, dial that down. Like if you can't exercise for 30 minutes, can you do 15 or 10 or 3? Or maybe you just do like some jumping jacks and push-ups before you get in the shower. We're going to count that because we want you to, kind of keep moving forward. And there's going to be dips in your willpower and things like that. And that's where you want to dial the resistance way down and at least keep the habit alive.
How can we make our results automatic?
Oh, that's a good question. So there are things that you have in your life already or you did before that once you do them, once you start doing them, I actually call them results machines
Mm,
because when you
nice.
when you turn them on, when you turn them on, then they just kind of keep running, and make sure that you keep getting results. So for example, we mentioned next day planning.
Mhm.
So once you turn on the habit of next day planning, and maybe like Ann, you've got to use the coffee machine, but once you do that, that's a results machine. That's how you can ensure that you're going to make progress. Because if you have a plan, even if the world comes crashing in and messes up your plan, you're still better off with the plan because you're going to get some of your stuff done. And with a plan, you're going to be less likely to be pulled by shiny objects or other people's plans for your life. So
Mhm.
having a plan or that next day planning, that's one of the ways to make your results automatic. Another one is that you can put in place is accountability. I call it action accountability. And action accountability is where you're accountable for your actions to someone other than yourself.
Mm,
Now, some people are like super self-disciplined, and I'm pretty self-disciplined. But when it's just me and me, I could not do something, and it's not that big of a deal, right? Or people always, give up the appointments they set with themselves and things like that. So action accountability is where you're accountable to your actions to someone else. So
mm.
find a mentor, an accountability partner, somebody that now weekly is okay. I've got a lot of clients that do weekly accountability, but daily is the best. And actually daily through text message is actually the thing that has the highest kind of a success rate is where you're texting somebody, hey, here's my top 2 things for today. And then at the end of the day, you kind of text each other, hey, how did it go? Did you get those 2 done or not?
Mm.
So action accountability, I think is big. Another thing is how can you put your results with the thing you're trying to bring about, right? We talked about white table, what you think about, you bring about. How can you automatically put your bring about statement or your bring about ideas? How can you put that in front of you, you know, automatically? And
Mm.
so one of the best ways you mentioned in the beginning, I'm a TEDx speaker. And so my giveaway today will be my TEDx talk. But in that talk, I talk about an elegant yet simple way to remind yourself of whatever you're trying to bring about in your life. Now, sometimes that's like a goal. Sometimes that's just like something with your personality. Like you want to be, more calm or something like that. Like, but whatever you're trying to bring about, there's a way to automatically program this part of your brain called the reticular activating system, kind of a fancy name. We call it RAS, but it's in the back of your brain, and it's the thing that allows or gathers or gives the information from the subconscious mind into the conscious mind. So it's the thing that's kind of listening and processing everything. Like we would go crazy if we heard everything going on in our bodies and all the things that we're hearing and seeing, and it's monitoring your heart rate and your blood pressure and your blood chemistry and pH levels. Anyway, it's doing a lot of stuff. And this reticular activating system, it decides what it feeds you into the conscious mind, but there's ways to program that. The example most people can relate to is, okay, so my son, he bought his very first car all on his own, and it was an Acura TL maroon colored, which I had never seen before till he showed me this very emotional picture of him with his very first car purchase. Well, wouldn't you know it, right after he shows me that picture, for about the next 2 weeks, all of a sudden, people are putting this car all over the place. Next to me pulls up I'm at a stoplight. There's one. I've never seen the car before. And now I'm seeing it everywhere. I go by I didn't know there's an Acura dealer right there. Oh, look, there's the maroon car right in the front. Who's putting all these? This is some kind of conspiracy theory here. They're everywhere all of a sudden. But it's not. But what it was is because I had this emotional moment with that picture. Now my RAS is seeing that car and bringing it into my conscious awareness, right? So you can program that thing. And this is kind of what Think and Grow Rich talked about that book, is you can kind of program that. And one of the best ways I found is something that the average person sees over 100 times a day, and that is your unlock screen on your phone. Now, all smartphones have the ability for you to program that image, that when you go to unlock your phone, the image you see. Now I ask people, hey, what's on your phone? A lot of times it's a family picture or some cool, like beach scene or something like that. And I said, hey, that's fine. Just have half of your screen be that, but have the other half of the screen be the thing you're trying to bring about in your life, right? And so we often tell people to use, there's a free program called Canva, which is this cool graphics program. It's free, but it can give you the exact size of whatever phone you use, for that screen. And then you can kind of build your own unlock screen photo. But that thing you see, you'll see it consciously, but then subconsciously you'll stop kind of seeing it, but subconsciously you will keep seeing it. So anyway, that's a cool kind of another mind hack, so to speak, so that you can get those kind of results automatically. Another thing is handwriting things is very powerful. So if you were to, whatever you're trying to bring about, the results you're looking for, if you would write it out each day, like I do something called Daily Day Design, and I have a little sheet that I print out that I use for that. But then in there, I write out by hand my little mini bring about statement every day. And so that's another thing that just, makes it front and center for your subconscious mind, for the RAS to start giving you, show you the opportunities to help you get there.
Wow, that is super. That is super. I got my pen and let me write these down myself. I'm in.
There you go.
Yes,
I love that.
yes, definitely. So good, so good. So has your family and friends taken to your ideas and innovations? Or is this something that you have also used in your home when you were younger, in your family in certain ways, without realizing that this was what was happening?
Yeah, I would say that, our family used it and tend to be, because of it on the positive side and kind of high achievers, I think, because
Awesome.
some of these principles they were using early on, not all of them, and some friends, well, I would say my friends have different levels of ambition, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And so the more ambitious ones, I think, do use a lot of those principles and ask me about it and want to, we have, kind of longer discussions about it. And then other people, they don't really, sometimes in your own neighborhood, so to speak, people don't see you for all the things you do. So it's kind of a mix, but I would say a lot of the results stuff, my wife and I have used and kind of brought up the kids, to make lists, to make a plan, and but also, you got to leave the spontaneity in there as well. So we're also able to just, throw the plan out, and so I plan out my days pretty well. But if my daughter, who lives in Phoenix as well, if she says, hey, Dad, can you go for a hike this afternoon? Absolutely. Like whatever my plan was, I'll throw it out because I don't get to see her that much. She's a medical doctor in a second year in residency, so
Oh, okay.
she's
She's
like super
busy.
busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if she says anything, brunch, breakfast, whatever,
You're like, I'm
I'm
there.
going to be there. Yeah, right,
I love
exactly.
that. I love that.
And that's one of the things about owning your own business, which is nice with no daily operation, so to speak. Then I have that flexibility, which is something I worked hard for because I really did want to keep that. I wanted to keep that kind of personal control. Was I know somehow I'm wired that I really need that.
No, I mean, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, ideally, I think that it's really great to hear that you have given these tips to your children. And, it's just letting things sink in. And maybe, as they get older, these things will resurface again. And just the learning tools and tips, so great to have, and we will, of course, make our own. But to have a base of that, I think is really so super. And then they can share that without realizing it, sharing it with friends and, in their world as well, these really great habits that are really great ways that people are able to, to start for themselves. So nice. Very, very nice. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. I think yeah, we taught to be happy and to be grateful,
Yes.
to be in service. Like whatever you're doing, be in service. You'll always have a good career if you're kind of in service of other people,
Nice.
and then knowing the power. Yeah, knowing the power of the spirit, and then knowing the power of your own mind. Those are
Yes.
probably the four cores that we try to teach. And then we also would, our prayer was always for wisdom. We always thought, man, if we have wisdom to make the right decisions, you can get through just about anything.
What a great prayer request. It's so true. You're so right. So right. Oh, I love that. All right, parents. Nice. Yes, for your wife as well. Let me
Yeah.
ask you, what do you think is the real hunger of humanity right now?
Yeah. I think that for me, what I see is kind of belonging, right? To be a
Mm,
part of something, and I think that, different generations, you have all this, millennials, Gen X, baby boomers, all these different things. But I think a lot of times the hunger is for the belonging, to belong to something, to kind of find your tribe and find where you kind of fit into that tribe.
mm,
And once you find that, I think there's a comfort that comes from that. And so sometimes you got to get, you have to be your own best tribe too, right? You got
that
to
is
kind
so
of
true.
love
So true.
yourself, and if you have some kind of spiritual connection, being, having, that, I think that's really good. But society, I think, looks to have this community. And we've had some pandemics and different things that took away some of that physical connection. But Zoom and other platforms have kept us together now and have expanded our abilities,
Yes.
to belong. But I think it's that. I think it's belonging.
I like that. It's true, now there are so many different tribes to be that you can belong to compared to back in the day where there was a limited amount. And now people are making their own. If they're not found, you can, like you say, you can just develop your own. But I think finding your own personal love for yourself, your own tribe is most important. You need to have that. And then you can be able to share and dip into others and, vice versa. But definitely.
Yep. Yep.
Definitely. Let me ask you, is it really possible to get an hour worth of stuff done in 30 minutes?
Oh, one of my favorite frameworks from Self-Fluence is the 30-minute hour, right? So that is how to get an hour's worth of stuff done in just 30 minutes. Now, again, we're going back to the Self-Fluence principles, which, is that everything you need is within reach to have a 30-minute hour. You're already doing it.
You're already
You've
doing it.
had some 30-minute hours,
Hmm.
and you can master it. Now, I'm going to tell you though, Chris, that this is very powerful stuff, and I have to make sure that the listeners are going to use this for good and not for evil.
Oh, no.
So,
Wow. Oh, my gosh.
yes, so
Okay. Got me.
powerful.
I'm perked up on this.
Okay,
Okay.
so let's say that you and we just had 30-minute hours in a row. So what that means is that we got 4 hours worth of stuff done in just 2 hours.
Mhm.
And now we have 2 extra guilt-free hours.
Okay.
And my question for you, and I'll answer it first and I'll ask you, is what would you do with 2 guilt-free hours that you're not allowed to work? Now, all the type A'ers out there, they're like, no, if I have a 30-minute hour, I'm just going to get twice as much work done. No, that's not why I'm sharing this framework. I'm sharing this framework so you'll do more of these other non-work things. So like for me, if I have 2 guilt-free hours, one is I'll reach out to the kids, obviously love my family. I do like my Peloton bike. So I would probably take a Peloton bike ride. I like hiking outdoors. So I probably go out for a little hike. I like to connect with old friends. I probably do that. And then I do work from home and I like the good old fashioned nap, power nap, 15, 20 minutes, but I would probably take a little nap. But that's what I would do. What about you? You have 2 guilt-free hours and you're not allowed to work.
Oh my
What would you
gosh,
do?
I can feel it. I can exercise, I can sew, I can watch some Netflix, I can play a few video games, I can get on the piano and work on a few pieces. I can go for a walk, meet some friends, have some drinks, go for dinner. Yes,
Nice.
I'm down.
Nice.
My list is ready. It's
Hey, that's probably out of all the podcast hosts, that's the best list I've heard
Is
and the most
it?
extensive. So good for
Wow.
you. Yes,
Thank
good for you.
you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's talk about the 30-minute hour. Now, there is this day that happens. Now, it happens every year for people, so sometimes more than once a year, but it's the most productive day of the year. And now on this day for each person, it happens on different days. But when it happens, you get 3 to 10 times more stuff done than your average or ordinary day. Now that's 3x to 10x. I'm only looking for 2x. I'm only looking for double, but it's 3 to 10 times. Now, do you know what day of the year this happens, this most productive day of the year?
I'm gonna guess and probably say it's New Year's.
No, New Year's is
I mean, like New
good.
Year's Eve.
Yeah.
New Year's Eve.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not New Year's, and it's not like a day of the year.
Oh, okay.
It's more of an event that happens for people.
Birthday?
Oh, birthday people get a lot done, but it's not a day where they're getting 3 to 10 times as much as they do on an ordinary day.
Wow, you got me. Let me see.
All right, I'm going to give it to you.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to give it to you. Now, when I say this is going to be very self-evident, and you're going to realize that you have had some 30-minute hours. So the most productive day of the year for people is the day before vacation. The
Oh my
day before
gosh.
vacation, people get 3 to 10 times more stuff done than they do on an ordinary day. So what I did is I went out and I studied all these people on the day before vacation and what did they do and how did they do it. And I came up with where it really boiled down to just 3 things. And so I made a little acronym called PDF. Now, when I say PDF, people know, hey, email me the PDF or go print out the PDF.
Yes.
They'll remember that stands for portable document format, which is not what it is here. Here it stands for plan, delegate, focus. And what I want to do is I want to unpack each one of these so that the listeners and you can have these 30-minute hours, right?
Yes,
So when you
please.
think 30-minute hour, think day before vacation, and then think PDF, plan, delegate, focus. So planning. The day before vacation, people do all of a sudden they become like a super planner. Like they plan out that day before vacation, sometimes down to the minute, but definitely down to the hour. And so one of the things you can do to have 30-minute hours is really just plan out your day. You'll get twice as much done as an ordinary day if you'll just make a plan. Now, look, the world is going to throw stuff at you and you might not stay on the plan, but making the plan will keep you much more focused that next day. So making a plan for the day, that's a key. Number 2 is if you want a quick 30-minute hour, on the day before vacation, people wake up 30 to 60 minutes earlier than they do on a normal day. So that's one little bit of a cheat code there that just wake up 30 minutes earlier and now you've got an extra 30 minutes. So you got the first hour as a 30-minute hour because you got 30 extra minutes. So waking up early is one. The other thing about planning is on the day before vacation, you have a very clear vision for what you need to get done. And so being real intentional about this is what I need to get done on this day is helpful. And then the other thing about the planning is that a lot of people, they understand or they've heard of and they believe in the 80-20 rule.
Oh, okay.
So the 80-20 rule, also known as Pareto's principle, I really like this guy, Italian economist, that they named the 80-20 rule after, because my birthday, I was born on his birthday, but anyway,
Okay,
on the same day.
hey.
But anyway, the 80-20 rule is the idea that 80% of your results comes from 20% of what you do. And then, but then, 80% of what you do only produces 20%, right? So what happens on the day before vacation is people focus in on the 20% that gives them the 80% of the results, and they kind of oust the 80. Like if it's something that doesn't give them the high results, they defer it or they delegate it and they get rid of it, right? So that kind of brings us to the second one. So the first one's plan. The D is delegate. And so what happens on the day before vacation, you become kind of a delegating master, and you think who before do, right? Who before do. You think who could do this before you go do it, because you're like, what? Who can I give this stuff to? How can I get this off my plate? Because it's the day before vacation. You got to get a lot of stuff done. You're not going to be around the next day. So, for example, my wife will say, "Hey, I'm going to go out and run some errands. Can I do anything for you?" Boom, instant 30-minute hour for me, because I say, yeah, can you go to the bank? Can you drop this to the post office? Now she just did that whole errand for me. By delegating, I created that 30-minute hour kind of instantly. The other thing is you're delegating and you're also deferring, right? So one of the things, I call it proactive procrastination, but when I have my to-do list, let's say I have a to-do list of 10 things, right? I look at that 10 things and I say, what really has to get done today? Like, let's say that I only had an hour to work today or 2 hours. What needs to get done? And what could I defer? What could I push out to tomorrow? What could I push out till after my vacation? And everybody does that when they're planning. They're just like, nope, can't get that done. I'm going to just put it out when I get back from vacation. And I look at my list, and nearly every day, more than half of the stuff can go into tomorrow. And I push it into tomorrow, which creates more time for me for higher value stuff. And sometimes I'll work on the stuff for tomorrow, which I like. I like to be a day ahead myself personally. But anyway, so you look at that, delegation and deferring. And then the last one, so plan, delegate, focus. Focus is where I get my most 30-minute hours. But when you think about the focus of the day before vacation, when I study those people, myself included, I looked at what doesn't happen on the day before vacation. So I'm not like chit-chatty. I'm not on any long phone calls. I'm not doing any long responses. I'm not falling for any shiny objects. Like I'm on task. I'm like, I got a bunch of stuff I got to get done. And it's the day before vacation. I got to get it done. Right. So that fierce focus, just that alone can start to dramatically increase your productivity. The other thing that happens with your focus, now you may be too young to remember this, but the very first James Bond movie, which came out in 1963, was Dr. No. And so what happens on the day before vacation, you become Dr. No. So they'll say, Blaine, can you do this? Can you do that? No, 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 no. My response to most requests on the day before vacation is no. You become Dr. No. And so that is one of the keys to the 30-minute hour, is to say no to the bigger yes, which is your plan, your agenda, your stuff. So you want to become Dr. No. And the other thing that Dr. No is good for is that instead of, there's the 30-minute hour, but there's also the 90-minute hour.
Oh, wow.
Now, the 90-minute hour is when someone asks you for an hour of your time, but it takes 90 minutes, right? Or you have that person, oh, I just need 10 minutes. Yeah, right. Then it's 30 minutes, right? So you want to be Dr. No to avoid the 90-minute hour. The other thing about your focus is that on the day before vacation, people tend to stay on schedule better, and they tend to have a full schedule. They map out the whole day and they stay on schedule better, and they use timers. So that's another key, is if, if I'm going to say I'm going to do, go on social media or go through my email or do some internet research, I actually set timers. I'll tell Siri to set a timer for 15 minutes, and then I'll do some internet research. But if I don't do that stuff, then I kind of get sucked in, and then I have the 90-minute hour, right? So on schedule and use timers. The other thing that happens with your focus is that you become a tasking master. Now, this is where I get my most 30-minute hours. And there's three types of tasking. There's single tasking, multitasking, which kind of gets a bad rap, but we'll talk about that, and batch tasking. Now, single tasking, this is where I get my most 30-minute hours. And single tasking is when you do a task that you have to do, only you can do it, but you do it in complete isolation. So, for example, I write a lot of articles. I can get an hour's worth of article writing done in 30 minutes if I will only do that. What I mean by that is the phone is either turned off or goes in airplane mode. I only have one screen up, nothing else is on, and I'm totally focused on that. My door is closed. Nobody can get to me. I'm in total isolation, and I'm working just on that article, right? I can get an hour's worth of article writing done in just 30 minutes. Now, initially, when you try this technique, you will find you'll have a little bit of a monkey mind. Like you'll have this idea and that idea, and stuff's going to try to get in your way. And the best thing to do is just have a scrap piece of paper and a pen. And when that monkey mind idea comes in, you don't want to lose it. You want to capture it. Write it down on the paper. It takes a second, and then push the paper to the side and get back to what you're doing. And over time, you kind of train the monkey mind to get out of there and not bother you as much. But that's where I get my most 30-minute hours is total focus. I had one client that they would actually turn off their Wi-Fi so that they could not be disturbed, like no rings, dings, bings, or anything, could get in their way. But they loved it so much because they got into this deep focus, this deep work, and it was super productive and super valuable. So that's the single tasking mode. Multitasking, which you're really good at. Now, you also do that, on the day before vacation. I found that people said, look, leave me alone. I have to get this thing done. Give me 30 minutes or, whatever. That you get very strict about having that alone time to get that most important stuff done. Multitasking is where you do two things at the same time, but without sacrificing the quality of either one. So like I can't have a high quality podcast interview and try to do my email at the same time. That's bad multitasking. But if you said to me, if I'm going to exercise and I want to listen to your great podcasts, that's easy. I can listen to a podcast and exercise on the Peloton at the same time, right? So I can do those two things. Or like I like to batch all my phone calls and then do them when I'm in the car, right? So when I'm in the car, I have a hands-free phone. It's very safe. I can drive and talk at the same time, so it's very safe. So when I'm using my hands for something, and my brain is free, I'm always looking for that synergy. Where can I do two things, and not sacrifice the quality of either one? Like I love my family. I want family time, but I like exercise. So I taught everybody to play tennis. So if we went out for, an hour of tennis, we also got an hour of family time in. So that's like 2 hours in one, right? There's a 30-minute hour again. So that's the multitasking. And the last one is batch tasking. And that is on the day before vacation, people get really good at batching stuff together and it goes faster. Like if you had 3 errands to run, you wouldn't like go out, run an errand, come home, go out, run an errand, come home. No, you batch them all day. You go out and you run all 3 errands, right? What I also noticed is on the day before vacation, people would batch their interruptions. And I'm like, that's brilliant. And so what I meant by that is, let's say you're working with a team or maybe even working at an office, and you come into the office and you say, look, at 9 o'clock, I'm doing 2 hours of single focus time, which is going to be 4 hours worth of work in my office. No one come in, do not disturb me. My cell phone's going to be off, and I'm going to do that. But at 11 o'clock, when I emerge from my 2 hours, which will really be 4 hours of productivity, then I'm going to have 20 minutes where you guys can ask me anything you want. So basically, it's almost like a little office hours there, but you batched all the interruptions out of that morning block and you batch them all into that 20 minutes, after you're done. My wife and I, same thing. We used to text each other a lot. And now we have a shared note inside the iPhone. You have the shared note that has no rings, dings, or bings behind it. And we can put our ideas in there. And then when we have lunch together or whatever, next time we're together, we can kind of look at that list and go through. So that batching either, and also batching work, like all your computer work, if you do it at the same time, or all your phone calls, anything that you can batch, even like if you're batching your interaction with people where when you're not around that person, put into a shared note, and then when you're with them, be able to do that. So overall, what happens on the day before vacation, I realized is that the overriding thing is you release your inner perfectionist, right? So you release your inner perfectionist, and done is better than perfect. You have to get it done. And so it's not perfect, but you're getting stuff done. So when you think 30-minute hour, think day before vacation mode, and then think PDF, plan, delegate, focus.
Focus. Yes, that is super. I love it. That is so great. So great. So creative. Not difficult as well. Like something that we can easily obtain. And it's simple. It's nothing too heavy for anyone to try to put their mind around. We can easily understand it and to be able to put forth the effort to get it done. That's
Yeah.
spectacular.
Well, and everybody can relate to it, right? Like you
Yes.
had that day before vacation. So just think back and think about, oh yeah, I made the list. Oh yeah, I did that. Just bring some of that. Now, don't bring the stress of the day back of the day before vacation, but a little stress is good. A little stress gets the juices flowing, right? So a little bit of stress is good, but not a lot. And think back to your day before vacation and bring some of that back in, and maybe even give yourself a reward at the end of the day. Say, look, if I get these 10 things done or whatever, give yourself a little
Yes.
vacation, a little reward, a little Netflix,
Hmm.
a little time at the piano,
Yes.
whatever it is, give yourself some of that stuff. Get some of that stuff back into your life. When we study the people who are on their deathbed, when they're about to go, they always say, I wish I had two things. Everything they say boils down to just two things. And one is memorable moments with the people they love. Now, that can be family, that could be friends, that could be peers, whatever, but memorable moments with the people they love. They wish they had more of that. And then the only other one is impact. They wish they would have more impact by sharing kind of the lessons or the things they had learned.
Mm.
That's it. And so, and many times when people look at their guilt-free time, it's either self-care, fantastic, or it's doing something with other people. And that's what I hope people will use the 30-minute hour to gain more time for those items to get back in their life.
Yeah, they are definitely priceless moments to have. You're so correct. And I love the fact that you meant about rewarding yourself. It's nice to reward yourself. Everyone likes rewards, and sometimes we have to reward ourselves because who's going to do it if not?
Right.
So I think that's really, really great that when we someone mentioned that you shine, you give yourself shine when you find that you do these moments or you even make the attempt to start to do it, that you should praise yourself. And that way you can, the next time you'll continue or step a little further and move a little further next time and do a little more. So I love that. That's really, really great. Very, very nice.
Yeah, so good, so good, and everything you said in the last like 3 to 5 years, the science is backing everything you said up with. They can monitor your brain waves and your brain chemistry, and giving yourself that little reward, that little pat on the back, starts a chemical process in your brain that builds the neurons, that keeps you positive, that helps you find opportunity. I mean, it's so cool, and some people could be struggling out there with head trash.
Hmm.
I often say you got to hack your own head trash from time to time. But when you get in that groove and you're counting your blessings and you're looking for the positive, and that lens, the lens that you look through, more and more I'm realizing that the lens that you look at life through, that's what kind of dictates where you like what happens to you. I don't
Right.
know if you ever thought about that, but in it's not necessarily the circumstances that happen, but more the lens. Like if I said to you, if I said, Chris, today's going to be, I'm sorry, but today's going to be a really kind of like a bad day for you. I got the vibe. It's not going to be a good day. And then you go out and you're almost hit by a car. And so what's going to happen? You say, oh, Blaine was right. I was almost hit by this car. I was almost killed. I'm scared. I don't know what's going to happen. And physically, your body would be kind of almost like trembling and you're scared and what's coming around the next corner and
Hmm.
you're all constricted and your blood flow and everything's bad. Now, the same thing, same day, but I give you a different lens. In the morning, I say, Chris, I don't know why, but today is going to be like one of the best days of your freaking life. And the same exact thing happens. You're almost hit by the car. But this time you say, Blaine was right. I was almost hit by the car, but I wasn't.
Hmm.
I'm saved. The world has a purpose for me. I'm here. I'm alive. You're happy. You're up. You're energized. You're changing the world. But the circumstances were the same. It was just the lens that was the difference. So anyway,
Yes.
I've really noticed that. And now I'm consciously, when I take my mind shower in the morning, I'm really trying to, polish off the lens and make sure I'm looking at life through the right lens to make that day a good day.
I love it. I love it. Yes, I agree. It's the lens is important to start things off. Definitely. I like to ask this final question to all my guests. Is your glass half empty or half full?
Well, I have a unique answer to this
Yes,
question.
please.
And so when I hear this question, my answer is always the same. The glass is simply the wrong size.
Oh,
So that's my take on it.
okay.
And so people can say the glass is half full or half empty. I think the glass is just the wrong size, and that naturally all glasses are filled. And if yours is not filled, maybe you need a smaller glass right now.
Wow. I love
Maybe
it.
that's a new one for Chris.
Yes,
He's
it
been asking that
is.
question a
It
lot.
is. It is a new one. You know, so many people have very interesting answers for it. I really love it. I really love it. And, just the idea of the perception. It's all about our perception, our lens, as we mentioned, how we're viewing things and what we see it as. So awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. Do you have any final thoughts for our listeners?
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that you, the listener, would just exercise something that we said today, resonate with you, exercise that self-discipline to, maybe start a new habit and do the habit linking, or maybe increase your productivity, right? With the day before vacation, the plan, delegate, focus, that just take something and apply it, within the next, let's say 24 hours, so that your brain is still kind of remembers it, and apply that stuff, apply something, to there. Because the bad news is that time flies. The good news, you're the pilot.
Mm,
So you've got to kind of take that control. Life's going to go by too fast, but you're the pilot of your time, and that's the most precious resource you have. So spend it well. Spend it well.
I love it. I love it. Can you tell everyone how they can reach you if they're interested to find out more about you?
Yeah. I think the easiest thing is just to get a copy of my TEDx talks. You just go to BlaineTEDx.com. So BLAINE TEDx.com. You opt in there, you get the talk, transcript, and then we'll be connected. You'll learn a little bit about me through email, but then you'll have my email so you can reach out, and would love to help or serve you any way that I could.
Awesome. And his LinkedIn will be there as well, and website. All of this information as well will be linked in with the bio information for this episode as well. So they'll have it instantly
Excellent.
on hand for them as well for that. Thank you so much,
Excellent.
Blaine. It was so awesome. You really gave us a lot of food for thought, leaving us with what you think about, you bring about. I love that. And the self-fluence, clarifying decisions, really making that. I love the mind shower and how you broke that down. Connecting our habit linking to existing habits. All of it was so good, so good. And our PDF, our plan and delegate and focus. That way we can use our time more wisely and to have more time for the things that we love and cherish to be spending our time in. It has just been excellent. Really, really great. You are on to something so powerful. I'm so glad that you could just have a moment to share with us your thoughts and innovations. And we know that we will continue to be watching you and seeing you share with the world all this great and lovely information. Thank you again for today.
Thank you so much, Chris. My pleasure to be here. And you have a warm heart and a great voice. So keep doing what you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
And I really enjoyed it tonight.
Thank you so much. We appreciate having you as a guest, and we'll see you real soon. Thank you. And thank you to all our listeners listening in to another episode of Glass Half Full, a podcast and a safe platform for everyone to share their life experiences. Once again, I'm your host, Chris Levens. Please subscribe, follow, and rate this podcast on Apple Music and Spotify for more learning experiences. Until next time, know you are blessed. See ya!